righty. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hello, I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. So excited to have everybody here for our February demo day. I am joined by the magnificent folks from BeAssured, Imotobank dealership, and Innovus Power. So I'm really looking forward to each of them sharing about what they are building and how you can join their family, so to speak, through investing. Let's allow one moment for folks to trickle in and get situated before we dig all the way into scheduled programming. And I'll also share a couple of quick housekeeping items in just a moment. But as people are coming in here, there is a chat feature built into Zoom. Feel free to hop into chat. Tell us a little bit about where you're calling in from. I'm always excited to see how connected we could be on these folks from all over the world. So if you want to, I'm calling in from just south of LA. Netcapital is headquartered in Boston. We usually have some Bostonians in the line. So feel free to share where you're calling in from. How about the panelists? Where's everybody situated these days? I see Houston, Texas coming from the chat. H-Town.
I am in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Heck yeah. Little Rock.
Nashville, Tennessee.
I've heard nothing but good things about Nashville. Need to visit. Welcome.
Portland, Oregon. Hi, Eric.
Ooh, Portland. I love the PNW. Hey there. Hey there.
San Jose, California.
Bay Area. Welcome.
My name is Philip Ibrahim from Walpole, Massachusetts, is where we're headquartered.
Yeah.
Not far
more.
from Netcapital's headquarters.
Yeah, not far from HQ. I love it. I love when we get everybody on the line from a different region. This was not possible just a little bit ago. So that always makes me super excited. You know, we're decentralizing the opportunity to raise capital entirely online, and we're getting folks from all over the place. We were looking back at the data, and more than half of the states in the United States have had a representative raise capital on Netcapital. We want to get to every state represented here soon. So I love the idea of all the way from Arkansas and oh, another Portland in the chat here. And then Lambertville, New Jersey. Welcome. Oh, okay. No, no. Oh, yeah. No, no. That was you. Sorry. I thought I got excited for you. So I
That
thought
was me.
I saw that
Portland
come
is
through. I was
so
like,
small, I probably could text them and say like, "Hey."
no, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Um, okay, hold on a second here. I'm gonna do the last little piece here. Okay, and I'm gonna start getting into housekeeping items in just a moment. Okie dokie. So, as I mentioned, thank you so much for everybody for joining, and I still see folks trickling in, but let's go ahead and get started here. As I mentioned, I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team, and we are here with our February demo day. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, we are here joined by representatives from BeAssured, Imotobank dealership, and Innovus Power. We'll hear from each of them. We'll do a little presentation, and we do want to hear your questions. So let me get to my first housekeeping item. I know I just told you guys to use the chat feature to tell us where you're calling from. Please now use the Q&A feature to ask your questions. That's the easiest way to track the questions as they come in. And I do want to get to as many of them as possible. So please do ask your questions. I'll track them there and we'll kind of go through them as they come in. So please do engage with the Q&A feature. I'll get to as many of them as possible. And with that being said, let's go ahead and kick us off. We're going to go in order that we saw from the email. So I think we're starting off with BeAssured here. So come on to the line here, Tom and Santosh. Go ahead and I know you wanted to share your screen. You should have full functionality there. Welcome, Tom.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. It's great to be here. I can only see the panelists, and I'll introduce the team in a little bit. But I want to see a show of hands. So even for the attendees, I want you to raise your hand. How many of you use Google for local searches? So who's using Google to go find a plumber, an electrician, go find a restaurant, whatever you're looking for, probably using Google. I saw everybody's hand go up. I don't know, I can't see the attendees, but I can imagine most of you put your hands up as well.
More than half, and I'm suspecting that might be the half that know how to do that feature. So I think it might be under sampling there, I suspect.
That's right. And that's what the market dynamics tell us. So Google is still the leader in local searches, and they will be for quite some time. So 90% of searches are conducted through Google versus other search engines, and that's only gone down a couple percentage points in the last couple of years. And 46% of those searches are for local intent. People are trying to find businesses, services, and products. Well, the problem is that that really Google is a huge entity, and you have local businesses that don't know how to properly use it, and they don't know how to fully tap into the power of Google. Well, the opportunity becomes AI. With the advent of large LLM, large language models, we have the ability to easily fix people's Google profile to where they come to the top of the list. And that's extremely important because businesses don't know how to do that. They don't know how to bring their visibility up in the Google rankings. That really comes down to three major parts of what businesses need to be prepared for and focusing on. The first one is going to be reviews. So 90% of consumers check online reviews before they go visit a business. So another show of hands, how many people pay attention to reviews? Okay, probably most of us. How many of you write reviews on a regular basis? No, I don't. So most of us look at reviews, but most of us don't write reviews on a regular basis. But reviews matter and reviews are important. And then Google profiles are important. So if you have a profile out there for your business and somebody's looking for electricians, 80% of users that go in and look for a local electrician, 80% of them are only focused on the top 3 businesses that come up in Google Maps. Same thing happens with these local businesses' websites. 54% of users that click on a business website and only are clicking 54% of the time with the top 3 searches. So you have this major problem that if you're not getting reviews, if you're not managing your profile, and you're not managing your website to get the kind of traffic that you need, and you're not in those top 3 results, you're not getting viewed. You might as well be invisible. So we have this solution. So we're BeAssured. And what we're doing is we're taking a holistic approach to visibility management for any type of business, but specifically for local businesses. And we're using the power of AI to do a number of different things. So we're targeting reviews. We have a one-of-a-kind, unique platform that you can use AI and conversational AI to get reviews. So I'll give you an example. I don't leave that many reviews. Eric, you said that you didn't leave that many reviews. But when I do leave a review and somebody says, hey, will you leave a review for my service that you just used? They might give me a link directly to Google. And what I'm looking at is, okay, I'm going to give you 4 stars or 5 stars. And then I'm looking at a text box that basically says, this is empty, fill in the blanks. And I'll tell you exactly what I do. And I don't know if you're the same way, but I kind of blank out. And what I end up doing is I usually go, okay, 5 stars. It was a great service, really enjoyed it. Well, that doesn't give you the details that you need to really drive decisions and improve or know what you're doing right for your business. So what we do is we present a chat bot. So we have a chat. So when businesses are asking for reviews, they're sending their customers through our conversational AI chatbot that's specifically designed to get details from them that we then will take the details in a matter of a few questions, and we will create a Google optimized review so that they can post it to Google. And not only at that point do you have more reviews, you also have the details for your reviews, and that helps you in the Google search. So that's going to cause you to have higher engagement. So we give NFC cards, we give QR codes. But the conversational reviews, they're your voice of your customer. Reviews are the voice of the customer. They used to have little fill out surveys at the diner that you would fill in. Reviews are your voice of the customer now. So if you're getting more details, then you're getting more of that voice of the customer, and it also helps with your rankings. Yeah. We also are offering AI-driven responses. So the other thing that puts you higher on the list is responding to every review. And so we're utilizing AI to say, okay, you may be getting a lot of reviews, and we know business owner or whoever's managing those doesn't have a whole lot of time. We're going to be able to auto respond using AI to reviews. So save them time and a lot of effort. The second thing is really, go ahead, Santos.
No, one quick thing, Tom. I know we're talking about Google, but there was a question on Yelp as well. So I just wanted to mention that even though we're starting with Google, Yelp is definitely on the roadmap as well. And it's not that different from what we're talking about in terms of SEO, whether it's Google or Yelp for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to, so our review platform will be extensible. So that's a good thing to put in the comments. So you're talking about Google, and we're focused on Google, but our conversational review chatbot will also get to the point where you can leave reviews for Yelp, and it can be customized by the business. So there's Yelp, there's TripAdvisor, there's different services that people actually focus on. So you might have a doctor's office, and there's specialty review platforms for doctors. So we can do all of that. We can actually funnel people through this conversational review, create the optimized review, and have them post it directly to whatever sites are important to them. Really, the second thing is Google Map visibility. So we want to leverage AI, the insights that AI give us, and we want to streamline profile management. So to really do a good job of managing your Google profile, you have to be in the details, but it's not just the details of setting up the profile. It's almost a weekly update process. You have to be looking for different keywords. You have to be looking at what your competitors are doing in order to get in that top 3 ranking. So we're going to be using AI, we're going to be using data, and we're going to be doing that automatically for our customers. The third thing is SEO, and it's the same type of thing as the Google My Business profile management and other profile managements like Yelp and other sites. But we're going to do the same thing with the SEO opportunity, which is how do you make sure that you rank higher, but also that you have the right keywords, that you have the right backlinks, that you have the right technical SEO audit in place. So all of those things that we're going to be doing in the background for our customers, we're going to then let them grow. And by ranking higher and getting that visibility, they're going to grow, they're going to thrive. And all we're doing is we're taking these big, complicated system processes that these businesses have to go pay X amount of dollars to try to get some kind of review solution or review management. Then they're taking more dollars and paying someone to do a My Business optimization. They're spending maybe another $1,000 on SEO. We're going to do all of that in one platform, but then we're going to give them these micro tasks called success steps that basically all they have to do is validate some minimal information and over time continue to do these micro tasks. And that will put them above and beyond their competitors. And then ultimately, as we continue to expand, our ultimate goal is to really connect a small business community, because the small business community is the vast, I mean, small businesses account for the majority of our economy in the United States. So if we can foster this environment where we're bringing small businesses together and they're thriving, then there's a lot of cross-pollination, a lot of good information they can share with each other, and a lot of good partnerships that they can bring together as far as partnerships and referrals and other things of that nature. So that's our ultimate goal, is to have a one-stop shop for all your visibility needs, and then also for you to create a networking opportunity with your fellow peers that are business leaders in the community. So what we're doing right now is we have the conversational AI review tool. So that's already launched. We are also already have it in place with multiple businesses. We've been doing beta testing for quite some time now. So that's going to go live. So Q1, our entire focus is let's get that up and going. Let's get our micro tasks and success steps up and going. Let's get the infrastructure in place. And then in the next month to 2 months, we'll launch our Google AI review responses. And then we'll shift our focus not just to review management, but we'll uptick our review management in the sense that we'll create integrations, email, SMS customizations, and then we'll move into the profile management. So profile audit tool, keywords, all types of things that will help them manage their Google profile, weekly AI updates to their profile, the things that are going to move the needle and move them up on that Google Maps list. And while we're doing that, we're scoping out and going to be implementing our SEO tools as we go into Q3. So that'll be SEO, website, technical audit, automation, content automation for their profile, all the SEO tools that they would normally have. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. So you get these different systems called like SEMrush and Bright Local. And if you've ever been in one of those systems, they're extremely difficult to use. You almost have to pay somebody $1,000 to go in there and know what they're doing to go figure out how you can get higher up on the search results. And then in Q4, we're really slowing down, getting our SEO tools in place. We're going to get some embedded widgets into their website, custom engagement, and then we'll go on and evaluate our strategy from there and just keep iterating and iterating and using the voice of our customers to then give them additional tools that they need to be successful, whether that's marketing or somewhere else, that's something that comes up in the future. So we have a broad strategy. So typically companies like ours go B2B. You know, you're reaching out, you're going out to B2B, and you're trying to get access to the business owner so you can sign them up for the service. And that is something that we're doing and have been doing. Eric, you came off mute. Do you have a question?
Yeah. I'm just going to say just we have the last couple minutes here, last 3 minutes here. So I just want to give you a heads up.
Oh, okay. We have a three-pronged strategy. So we are doing B2B marketing, but we also want to have partnership opportunities. So one of the things we see is affinity partnerships. So organizational partnerships such as associations, Chamber of Commerce, business organizations. But we also have a lot of contacts within vendor partnerships, particularly employee benefits and enrollment technology like TriNet. We've already had some conversations with TriNet, about to have some conversations with ADP. So what we really want to do is not just go the B2B route, but we also want to do these partnerships where we get access to large numbers of small businesses. And then lastly, my name's Tom Davenport. On the phone, I have Santosh Rajaram, who's co-founder. Santosh has a vast experience with AI and machine learning. His AI, machine learning, and InsurTech sold several years ago, and he's on to new and bigger and better adventures. I also have Elon Shazin, who's one of our sales representatives on the phone, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much for that, Tom, and the rest of the BeAssured team. No, I think it's really exciting. I think about it all the time, how I just feel like a terrible human being because I have great service or I experience something fantastic, or actually, my wife and I joke about it. We have this couch and we got a pandemic puppy and he tries to dig into the couch and he has a blast and it's held up so well. I'm like, if anybody deserves a review, it's the makers of this couch. And I still haven't gone on my way to give them the positive review. So I feel terrible about it. But I do think if there was an AI generated prompt engineer that could kind of guide me through the process and just take what I said and provide it. Wow. It's just the activation energy feels too high for these surveys, but it's important.
Yeah.
So Eric, send me the name of that couch company. We have a chocolate lab that is a couch destroyer. So I want it.
I'm about to put this on record. Yeah, maybe this will be my one review. Yeah, it was Ashley's Furniture. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna get the exact make and model. It's golden retriever proof, unbelievable. But no, congratulations on what you've been able to build so far. I love the roadmap that's coming down the line, and it sounds like a super exciting application for AI. Really promising opportunity there. And for those folks, I think you mentioned it, but I want to really dig into this. Small and medium-sized businesses are the lifeblood here of the economy. Helping them get exposure and helping people find those really promising those companies is really worthwhile endeavor. So I appreciate what you guys are doing there. So thank you so much for that presentation. Would you want to keep the ball moving just a little bit? Remember, please do stick around, team. We're gonna have time for closing remarks and a finishing piece towards the end for everybody. But we said we were going to go in order here. I did add a link to BeAssured into the chat there. You can go directly to netcapital.com and search BeAssured. You can click the link. Or you can go to netcapital.com/companies/BeAssured, BeAssured. So go ahead and check that out, and you too can invest. Somebody asked, yes, this is being recorded, and the recording will be shared and uploaded to YouTube. I'll add that link towards the end of the program here. So if you missed anything, or you know somebody who would love to have seen this that couldn't make it, please do feel free to share this broadly, and it is being recorded. All right. Philip, I took you on mute just for a moment there, just to make sure that it stayed quiet for a moment, but you can come off mute. Why don't you come online and tell us a little bit about what you're building with Imotobank dealership? And I'll add a link into the chat here. And you are still on mute, sorry. Just go ahead and here we go. I just asked you to unmute there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. So my company is called Imotobank, and we are an internet-based car dealership, which is very different than most car dealers that just happen to sell cars online. We go back to 2001 when we were one of the pioneers on eBay to sell cars when they didn't even have a category for cars. So primarily, the biggest difference between us and most people that sell something online is we actually have a human being that when you reach out to us, you'll get a person on the line, and we'll share our computer screen and do a live demo and sell cars all over the country and actually all over the world, and to some pretty prominent people sometimes as well. We do a lot of interesting logistical things pretty quick. I'll tell you a quick story, and that is on a Saturday morning, I was shipping a car to New Jersey to put it on a roll-on, roll-off to a guy's ski house in Austria. And I called him, said, I can get it to you faster if you want. So at noon in Walpole, Massachusetts, he agreed, and we put it on the truck at 1 p.m. on Sunday. One day later, it was in Austria because it went on Lufthansa cargo. We do unusual things, and we learn from them, and we take notes. We have about 17 people that work in my company. We're a profitable company. We made $15 million in sales in 2023. Year to date, I got the numbers today, and we have $2 million in sales in the last 6 or so weeks. And so what we really need to do is we need the capital to expand our footprint physically. I sat in a $20 million building before I owned this company, and I said, what does this building do to add value to the consumer? And the answer was nothing. So we moved into an industrial park and began selling cars online. Companies like ours are pretty nimble, and they usually make pretty good money if you're in the used car business and you know what you're doing. But what they really lack is the ability to understand the specialized knowledge that it takes to actually sell a car from A to Z online. Our record is 12 minutes. Some cold call that we received, somebody had mentioned that they liked our service, and 12 minutes later, we sourced a car that we didn't own, finished all of the financing conversations, and did a bill of sale. And then we went and picked up a check, and 5 days later, the car arrived in the gentleman's driveway, and he was an architect, loved his car. And he'd been looking for some time. He went to many BMW dealers before he came to us, virtually. We carry about 80 to 100 cars. So we have full infrastructure here. Like I said, we have about 17 people that work here. So what's the purpose? Why should you invest in our company? What's going to make these outsized returns that we hope to share with everybody that joins us in this endeavor? We want to roll up what we do to the rest of the world. We want to contact and enlist a consortium of 50 to 100 car dealers across the country that are very good, nimble, used car dealers, maybe a mom and pop that you might like, or maybe even a top salesperson who doesn't quite have a car dealership, but is really good at their craft. And we're going to put them under an umbrella of our company. I don't want to go buy everybody, because Wayne Huizinga did that, and I studied him. Waste Management did a really nice job buying everyone, but that's expensive and unwieldy and puts us in the same category as a CarMax and a Carvana. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is take all these individual people that are really great at what they do and give them scale. Giving them scale allows us to renegotiate insurance for everybody. It allows us to own a captive finance company. I have extensive background in captive finance. I have a degree in economics. And so the captive finance world can only be done effectively at scale. And most people won't give you $500 million or $1 billion, which the car business elicits because cars are expensive, unless you have scale. So if we sign everyone up under our umbrella, we can handle the insurance, we can handle a captive finance company, we can have a captive warranty company, we can now renegotiate marketing, because each of us spends $3,000 to $5,000 a month to have Car Gurus and Cars.com and all these other things. But as an umbrella, we can do it for much less money. But the most important and most wonderful thing that we can do is we can create a physical footprint so that when we deliver the cars to California and Florida and Texas to individuals, as we do every day, we can land it at one of our own constituents who can shake the client's hand and retain that client base forever. And so that's really the goal. If we never raised a dime, our company would be profitable. We'd be grateful for what God has given us, and it really is a blessed gift from the Lord to have a company. But what we'd really love to do is create community. Now, we don't think of community as just car dealers. Every customer that does business with us is part of our community. When someone reaches out to us, we're completely transparent. We fill orders. Can you imagine calling a car dealership and they have 50 or 100 cars that they're trying to really push on the customer? In our business, we don't do any of that. Number one, we have 50 to 100 cars, and they're available. But if you don't love that car, we'll literally share our screen, fill an order, show how much we paid for the car, show them our margin, and say, my only job is to make sure you get the best outcome. And by the way, when the car lands at the customer's driveway, we stand behind it 100%. If they don't absolutely love the car at that point, we'll fill an order again, or we'll buy it back and give them all their money back with a smile. And we've been doing this for quite some time. So really, that's the heart of the matter. If you think about this, investing in a car dealership might not be the most exciting thing. It's just some mom and pop who sells cars. But imagine for a minute that your investment in our company creates a national footprint, that creates a consortium of people that can drive the cost of doing business down, drive the quality and transparency up, and then we're going to own the fintech, we're going to own the software, we're going to own the captive finance, the captive leasing, the captive warranty, and all of the big things on behalf of the consortium. Why would the consortium stay together? Well, our plan is for each person that joins the consortium, whether they're a dealer or an individual, will pledge to buy shares from our company for every car that they sell. So the company keeps growing in the interest and in the skin in the game. As we become more successful, all the shares will dry up, and eventually the shares will either grow in value or we'll take them to the next level, NASDAQ, private equity, whatever the exit is. And ultimately, I believe in my heart of hearts that there's an Amazon, a Google, a Walmart. Somebody wants to be in the car business, doesn't want to own all the brick and mortar. So if we do our job really well, there's probably somebody at the end of the gate that might want to take on this whole thing and give us an exit. And if they don't, we're happy to run it profitably forever and a day. I have a staff of 17 people, all of whom are younger than I am, and I'm grateful for their energy and all the things that they do to bring to our company. And I'm hoping many generations of car dealers will join us in what we're doing. So again, if you buy shares in our company, you're not necessarily taking much danger, because we're an existing company that already does a bunch of business and we make money. We're really reinforcing our balance sheet, creating a larger footprint. The other thing that we do that's really unique is we beat the metrics in our industry tremendously. We have super low overhead. We're very dynamic on the phone with our clients. We're really thoughtful and able to receive calls. We answer our calls live 12 hours a day. And there's a lot of benefits to our clients from having that relationship. Even though we haven't met many of them, we have a personal relationship. They call us up and say, I bought a car 2 years ago, and I'd like to buy another one. Or I have a cousin or an uncle. We would like to create and recreate that goodwill with other great individual car dealers so that we become a community, not just car dealer community, but a community of people that love to do business together on so many levels. And because we are able to drive our costs down, none of the big companies can communicate or can compete, not communicate. None of them can compete with us on a pricing level. By the time you pay for their $20 million building and their 3 layers of management, they can't compete. And I don't want to be that organization. I want to be an organization of nimble, fast-moving, individual car dealers and individual people that are really terrific at their craft, but that have the ability to act like a giant consortium for negotiating and for all the things that require scale. You could call it vertical integration. And I learned a lot of this from many different experiences I had in life. One of which is I went to college for 5 years at Calvin University in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I mentioned I have a degree in economics. I have half a degree in engineering. My mom's an aeronautical engineer. My dad's a mechanical. My kids are mechanical engineers. The cool thing about going to school in Grand Rapids is I got to work at the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel 30 years ago. I was a banquet server. And I learned that Amway doesn't just like put all these salespeople together and drive you crazy. They're so much smarter than that. They own the farm that grows the material that they make into their shampoo that they distribute to an end user. And I want to do that in my industry. I want to have that massive consortium of people, and we're going to own the finance company, we're going to own the warranty company, we're going to own the insurance responsibility, we're going to own all these things at a scale that works. And from cradle to grave, no matter what you do in the automobile business, shipping and everything else, you'll have a relationship with the Imotobank family of dealerships all over the country. That's it.
No, that's super exciting, Philip. I love how you're able to cut down on costs and be really thoughtful about improving the experience through technology. A couple questions came in here. Who do you see as your competitors? So we could talk about competitive landscape. And actually, I'd like to add on to that question. Can you talk about different defensibility and IP and how you differentiate yourself from the competitive landscape there?
Sure. So there's everybody who wants to be in the car business has different levels of experience and different levels of capability. So if we were to compete on a daily basis, you'll see our cars online, so to speak, parked online, right next to those from all the majors of Carvana and CarMax and all the other major dealerships. But the biggest difference is our overhead is lower. Because our overhead is lower and we're nimble, we're always just a few dollars less expensive than they are. Even if it's just 500 or 1,000, as most people shop online, they always hit the button, lowest one first, and they call that dealership first. And if we do a really great job, we almost always retain the opportunity to sell a car to that consumer. So that's the one thing. As far as what gives us defense in the IP world, we've developed a lot of things that nobody else knows how to do. We actually share screens, which no other car dealership does, and it short circuits the entire relationship with a customer. Customer calls up and says, I'd like to come down Saturday, 5 days from now. Our answer is, we'd love to see you Saturday if that's what you'd like to do. But what time do you work until? And they'll say 5, 5:30. We'll say, are you free at 5:45? I'd like to have a quick meeting with you, and it'll save you hours of driving. And before they drive here for 2 hours, we finish and sell them a car in 15 or 20 minutes. And they say, well, I just can't believe I bought a car online. I didn't expect to do that tonight. I said, you know what? You don't have to fret about it. It's a great thing that you didn't drive 3 hours here from Maine or New Hampshire or wherever. Your car will arrive at your door in 5 days, and nobody knows how to do that. They say they do, but because of the corporate world that we live in, how afraid everybody is of losing a buck, there's so much fine print, and there's not a fine point on goodwill. And that is probably the most defensible thing. We don't mind taking a blow on a car to make a customer happy. And most car dealerships and most big corporations will set off red flags and go nuts. As long as we do well in all the other cars, that one problem child becomes a blessing. You can see on some of our Google reviews, we have a 4.5-star Google reviews. We have hundreds of them. Not every platform has great reviews for us, but Google is where everybody puts stuff. And in the Google reviews, you'll find that customers will say, even though I had an issue once in a blue moon, this company was thoughtful. This company cared. And believe it or not, that's a lot of IP. The second part is actually the process of how we take care of our clients in a live meeting. They can't do that. They want to do static. They want to throw everything up online so you hit a button. Consumers like to spend $20 on Amazon or $50 on Amazon or $100. But when they're going to spend $20,000 to $50,000, they'd like a human being to give them feedback. We've perfected that. And we perfected it in such a manner that every client gets personal feedback and doesn't feel uncomfortable because we've told them up front, we're going to also fill an order. You don't realize it, but you go online to our computer and you'll see 50 to 100 cars. We actually have a trading platform that has 250,000 cars a week that goes through it. We've become the conduit to that. It's like going to level 2 or level 3 when you're trying to look at Wall Street and buy stocks. We trade cars like people trade equity. And we know exactly how to do that. We know exactly how to take that and shape it so it's palatable, comfortable, and actually enjoyable for a client.
No, I love that. And you're absolutely right. Goodwill is such an important asset there in the business world. I love that you really kind of cater to your customers. I think it's super exciting, the model where as you do more volume, you actually get more skin in the game from an ownership standpoint. I love, kind of making sure you have that kind of mutually assured success, or you kind of grow in the right direction together. And I heard you were talking about Google reviews, so maybe the BeAssured folks and the Imotobank folks could do some conversations offline and see how you guys can work together on that. So, but I want to be thoughtful on time. Thank you so much, Philip. Remember, stick around, please. We're gonna do some closing remarks in just a moment. I did add the link into the chat there where you can learn more about Imotobank and you too can invest. You can click the link there. You can go to Netcapital and search Imotobank dealership, or you can go to netcapital.com/company/Imotobank dealership, Imotobank dealership. So definitely feel free to review that, learn more, and you too can join the family there. Okay, thank you so much. Last but certainly not least, thank you for sticking around, Mark with Innovus Power. I'm going to just hand it straight over to you to tell us about what you're building, and then remember, we're going to circle back for closing remarks for everybody else. But come on off mute, Mark, and we'll talk a little bit here about about Innovus. And you are still on mute, but yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, thank you. Let me do the screen share.
Yep, and we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, thank you for inviting us today. We're going to go into a very different world than cars and search platform. We're in the world of electric power, and just a quick introduction of some of our key people, starting with me. Somehow I'm running this thing, but actually I'm a founder of it. Probably the big highlight of my career has been essentially started out in the world of big companies, as you can see, came up through that chain of a couple major companies, and then got in the world of venture capital-backed companies about 25 years ago. And once you go in that direction, it's kind of hard to come back out. So I founded Innovus Power about 11 years ago. And we really see an amazing opportunity in power generation, which I'll talk about shortly. One other key guy, and you can't, as the saying goes, I want to mention, at least on this page, John McCall is our chief engineer. He was with me with my last company. One of the things I love about John is I got to know him when he was out traveling around the world servicing diesel electric propulsion systems on boats. And when you're servicing a product and you're having to travel all over the place with really angry customers because their product breaks down, you become a really good engineer to make sure that the products you design after that won't let a customer down. And we'll be able to talk about some of that in the results of the product we've now put in the field.
That's fantastic. And Mark, I just want to make sure that we're seeing what you want us to see. We see the title screen for a PowerPoint. Is that what you're intending to present
no,
here?
that's not good. No, I've already flipped to the next screen, so I got a problem here. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you could stop screen sharing and then reshare. I think we might be on a different document there.
Hold on a second.
No problem. No, I didn't want to cut you off. And I think we still understood, the background of the team there, but I wanted to make sure because it felt like
I'm
maybe
I'm trying to figure out how I fix what's going on here.
Yeah.
What are you seeing now?
Now it looks like we're inside a PowerPoint presentation, or actually this looks like a different one. But I think I see our
Are you seeing two
Innovus
screens?
Power
Are
Vision.
you seeing two screens or one?
Two. Yeah, we see Power Vision that says next slide at a glance.
All right. So I'm gonna come
I
out
think
of
that's not bad though.
out.
At least this is where you want to be, I think.
All right. All right. If that's the case, is it big enough for everybody to see?
I think so. Yeah, I'm seeing
Okay.
nods from the panels here.
So I'm realizing when I'm showing this slide, so for at least some of us over 40, which is kind of scary given there's probably a number of 20 somethings or an early 30 something, they won't remember the analogy. So for most of us who are older, remember a world where every phone had to be tied to wires. and we were beholden to Bell Telephone, even though they broke them up, supposedly to save money. You really had no control of your telephone service. Your cost was really in the hands of your telephone service provider. And until cell phones came along with wireless networks, all of a sudden the whole world changed. Well, in the world of power, that's never happened. Basically, the economics of power all started with high volume, low cost fuels, hydro, coal, later on nuclear. And because of the cost of consolidating all of that, we ended up with large power plants. And the way to for mass electrification was then to build millions of miles of power lines to every user. If you were unfortunate to not be able to get close enough to one of these large centralized grids, you dealt in a world called off-grid power or remote power, and your only choice was using diesel engines. And it was at least you had electric power, but you didn't think much about the cost of it simply because you knew you were going to pay a very high price. So if you step back and you say, well, what would happen if you flip that equation around and suddenly, instead of living in a world where all our power is in the control of a handful of utilities around the world, what would happen if you can get on-site power for at or lower cost and cleaner and more reliable than what you get from your utility grid today? That's the world we're now creating. So let me. Did my screen change for you guys? Hello?
Yes, it did.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So a little bit about
Now
our
we see
company.
power at a glance, if that sounds right.
Right. So a little
Perfect.
bit about us. The obvious question, well, what is it that you guys do and sell? Well, first we design and sell a microgrid. So think of a microgrid instead of a utility scale grid. A microgrid essentially is a grid that can power a building, power a remote community, power a mining operation. It's just smaller scale power, but the big difference in microgrids typically is they often have 2, 3, 4, or more energy sources tied together. And what we do is we design them, we deliver them, and then we make sure they operate proper as they're designed. Because if you think about it, once you start getting 2 or 3 different major components into that system, who do you call? Who's going to take responsibility? One of the biggest customer bases we now have are people who have been basically selling solar, and they don't know how to do more than selling their solar and installing it. So we basically not just design it, but then there has to be a hub and spoke, and the hub is really the heart and brain of the system. So to make all these different energy sources work together, including if you're going to have the grid tied to it, which could be an option, you got to figure out what power you're going to pull from where to basically end up with the lowest cost, greenest power, most reliable power to a given customer that you're servicing with that microgrid. So we generate revenue selling systems. We generate revenue actually just designing the system, and then that customer maybe decide to go forward with it. And we generate revenue in aftermarket support because we see ourselves from design to operate to support. We're a full turnkey business, so those customers know they have the support that they need, and they don't really and they're having their electric power that they don't want to have to worry about. Our major markets are commercial, industrial. We can do communities. We've done a number of rural communities. I'll talk about that shortly. We have government, military installations, and we can do multi-family housing. So quickly, what is the big power problem today? Given that there's a number of you on the phone in Massachusetts, you've got the same problem we have out here in California. The cost of power is just going up anywhere from 8 to 10% a year. When I first started the company 10 years ago, we had maybe 8, 10, 12 cents a kilowatt hour power. And California now it's in the 20s, 30s, and in some areas in the low 40s. New England has a similar issue, New York. So depending on where you are in the country, the cost of power is just going out of sight. We have obviously continuing issues controlling the emissions coming out of it, which is a huge worldwide problem. For those of us who believe in climate change, we believe it's contributing to it. Outages are becoming a bigger issue, mostly driven by obviously weather events, but the infrastructure for those massive microgrid utility scale grids is aging. They're more vulnerable. I mean, it's really darn difficult to protect power lines that are running between trees when you have high winds and storms. And lastly, contributing to all these issues is there's the thirst for power is really growing. We've all read articles about data centers. And you can see by the chart in the lower right, that's not going to change. So what's really driving all of this? First and foremost, in our traditional power systems, if you look in the middle of the page, used to be a very simple system. You have a power generation source. It could be nuclear fueled or it could be coal fueled, like you see in this picture, and it could power a city or a region around a city. And basically, you just align supply with demand. And the demand didn't change very much during the day. It would rise slowly, it would decline slowly. And essentially, it's like putting fuel in your engine in your car. Depending on the terrain you're driving, you put your foot down or off the accelerator. To lower CO2 and ultimately cost, solar and wind systems have increasingly come onto grids at an exponential rate. And what most people don't know about them is they're very volatile. I mean, everybody intuitively knows wind's volatile, but solar, you have cloud cover coming overhead. You could lose 70, 80% of your power as that cloud comes over. And oh, by the way, when it disappears, it comes back. Something behind that has to make sure that you have the power you need. And those are these older design fossil generation systems, typically, or nuclear systems. They're not designed to respond to that type of volatility when supply of energy within their systems comes and goes. And that is wreaking havoc. People are adding batteries to grids. They're not there to store energy and use later in the day. They're like power shock absorbers, so their grids can handle it. All they can do is add cost. And the other thing people do, and we're seeing it increasingly happen in California, you get to a certain point, if too much solar and wind's on your grid and it destabilizes, they'll actually dump the power. So the cost of power is on the rise. So what are we going to do different? Did my screen change? Hello?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
I did.
Okay, thanks. I've become insecure about screen changing now. So the way we step back and say, what now? If you think about the history of power for 100 years, it all started with coal and hydro and limited energy sources that you had to, as I said earlier, consolidate and then transport great distance. And you flip that around and say, wait a second, there's energy all around us that we now know how to harvest, starting with solar. Even small wind turbines are becoming more and more common. Not these massive things that you see on the top of a mountain, but you can have some that are basically the height of a flagpole. And the point of this is, let's start where you need the power right now. If we start on site, and what we do is we build out from there. How do we maximize the solar that you can deploy on your site? If wind makes sense, it can. And then with batteries now becoming more and more economical, if you may not have missed it in the chart earlier, the cost of batteries have really been prohibitive up until recently, and they're still relatively expensive. So you have to judiciously apply it. But now, if you think about a battery, its real purpose is to become a fuel tank. Now you can better align when the solar and wind's available to when it's needed. And we look at a utility grid more as backup to make sure you always have power. And oh, by the way, when the grid comes down, we could also tie in an on-site, could be a fuel cell, could be we're now working with a company doing linear generators, could be a diesel as a last resort. But if everything starts the other way, now suddenly we have huge benefits. We have customers that we have offered, one in particular we're getting under contract. You can offer up to 80% cost of power reductions. You just read down that list. Power, certainly, reliability, CO2 comes down. And what that really is bringing me to is, if you think about the history of power again and say, well, what would happen if localized power, no different than what cellular phones were 30 years ago, becomes the mainstream of power? The market scale is astronomical. Our first focus, frankly, is where is the cost of power the highest? California alone is clearly a huge market, just commercial and industrial. There's at least 20,000 buildings that have over 20,000 square feet above. We're not focused on residential or what I would call small commercial. It's really a different type of business. New England is also there. Rural communities have been a focus of ours from day one. We really started in totally off-grid power. We've been powering a remote village in northern Canada for almost 8 years. Of about 500 people, we're now shipping systems to the Canadian government to go to some of their most remote locations. And this is a worldwide product with worldwide opportunities. We've been generating revenue since 2018. We have been running losses since our founding. Last year is the first year we have a cash positive year. And these are the lists of customers that we currently have. One I'm very excited about, I can't unfortunately name who they are. There's a major medical care provider, mostly in the western part of the country. They have over 100 facilities. We signed an agreement with them. As their head of facility said, hey, look, I don't know who to believe. One of our great claims to fame is that it's actually a disadvantage being a provider of fossil generation systems or solar or batteries, because they all think that all you're trying to do is sell their stuff. We have the advantage where we're OEM and technology agnostic. We're going to put the best combination of technologies, component technologies together. And then with our power management and control system, we call Grid Genius, we then make sure it works beautifully. So we've got an agreement with that medical care provider to go through their 100 facilities and go back and relook at how much solar they should have versus what they have, and really design what really would be a far significantly lower cost solution. And the chart on the right is actually one of their facilities. So the numbers can be quite huge. This is in Northern California. They're paying 1.7 million a year for power right now. And if they basically double the solar system they already have, we have a right size battery we've designed for it, put a control system that properly leverages the utility rates available to them, they'll go to about 300,000 a year. So this is basically our list of customers, and ultimately why invest in us is we really, as I said before, we're really changing the world of power to really put the control in your hands. Large market, we have differentiating technology with our IP. We have validated our products in some of the most harsh environments that are imaginable. That system I alluded to earlier, one of the remote communities, that system ran for 35,000 hours, 24/7, other than when it was serviced. And it had 2 unplanned shutdowns that didn't cause a shutdown in the community. That's like 1.7 million miles on a car. And that was a diesel solar system, but even then the diesel would run quite differently. So they're getting about a 40-50% savings. We got a robust pipeline. And I think what's also very exciting for us is because of our business model, we don't need a lot of revenue to get to cash positive. So that's our story.
No, I love that, Mark, and you nailed it perfectly on timing. And you must have watched some of our previous webinars where we conclude with closing remarks, where we talk about why now is the perfect time to invest through Netcapital into your company. So you kicked us off right with closing remarks there, which is perfect. Thank you so much for circling back to that. Again, I added a link to that offering page into the chat there, or you can go to netcapital.com and search Innovus Power, or go directly to netcapital.com/companies/INNOVUS Power. And then looks like we could sneak in one quick question here. What is the on-site footprint required for each installation? That's for you, Mark. If you could do a quick answer there.
It's not much. It really depends on what the mix is. So for instance, if it's solar batteries and say a backup system, it really depends on the demand for their power, how much of their load demands there are. In many cases, the rooftop could actually satisfy that demand. And then there's a little space. I mean, batteries have become very dense, very compact. So not much more than the footprint of the building or what's around it. The only time we run into issues is that they need a lot more space. And then that say solar can provide, that's when we look at wind or other on-site generation sources that aren't solar. That one hospital I just gave you an example, we doubled the solar. Most of that was parking lot space they already had with carports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm seeing a lot of people maximize with that. Keeps it cooler for the cars, and you capture all that extra space there. That's a great use. Okay, so thank you so much, Mark, sharing with why now is the perfect time to go and invest in Innovus Power. That was a great closing remark there. Let's go in reverse order and finish off here. So back to you, Philip, here with Imotobank. Why is now the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and invest in your company?
Well, thank you. The thing I didn't talk about was scalability. You know, we run a profitable company, and when you put money into our company, we're using it to expand an already profitable company, and we're mostly putting that into inventory money. Why? Because we're like a stockbroker. When we buy more inventory, not a broker, but an investor, we get a larger return. We're already covered on all of our bases as far as our overhead. And the scalability is pretty simple. Once we sign agreements with other people, we're not taking on additional costs. We're only taking on additional revenue from them because it's just based on an agreement. And what makes us sticky, what makes it work that they can't leave, is we're building infrastructure for them that's financial, fintech type infrastructure, software type infrastructure, being able to share screens and things like that into one big bundle that they will never find anywhere else with the level of expertise that we have. We were doing what everyone else is doing now 10 years before them. So funding us today brings the return on investment timely and with safety. Many other companies, you put money in and you hope they throw it on the wall and it sticks. We've already have a running and profitable company. So if you put money in today, you're just pouring gasoline on a fire.
Very cool. That's a great place to be on the investment journey there. Thank you so much for that, Philip. And then last but not least, circling back to BeAssured here, Tom, Santosh, Elon, why don't you tell us why now is the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and invest in BeAssured?
Yeah, so Eric, I think it's pretty simple. We have the opportunity to build a system not just for the local search capabilities right now, but for the future. So it's pretty cool what's going to happen to local search and with AI. So think of it this way. Right now you go, let's say I'm going to Chicago and I'm in Chicago on a trip and I really want waffles. Well, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to say, hey, give me the best waffles in town. Well, right now it's all based on keywords. So it's probably going to give me the top 5 breakfast restaurants that might have waffles on the menu. That's not where we're going to be in 3 to 5 years and post that. Data is going to be power. Where we're going to be in the future of AI local search is I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, hey, I want waffles and I want the best waffles in town. And the AI is going to go out there and it's going to look for all the data across your website, your reviews, and not just Google reviews, but reviews across all the different platforms, Yelp and everything else. And so what we're building is for that future. It is for the now, but it's for that future to where it's going to bring up and it's going to say, oh, you want waffles. These are the waffles that these places have on the menu, and these are the top 3 that have the best information about their waffles. So we're building to give data to make sure that the businesses that do business with BeAssured and use our services have the proper information and have captured the details that they need to truly compete in that future world where it'll be so semantic and so specific, and will give people specific information, exactly what they're looking for. And it's going to be the companies that understand that and embrace that data and that data harvesting and get that information out there that are going to have the power and are going to be way ahead.
No, no, that's fantastic. And I think what a great time for an AI application here with the compute that you have and the opportunity to do those complex processes and assessments. So that's super exciting opportunity. Well, that brings us to the close of our regularly scheduled programming. I want to thank you so much to each of our panelists here from BeAssured and Imotobank and Innovus Power. Please do click the links that I added into the chat again, where you can review their offering pages. You can learn more about their teams and what they've done so far and what they plan to do. And you too can invest and join a piece, own a piece of their company, join their family there. And I really want to thank all the attendees that came here, your fantastic questions that came in from all over the world there. So please continue to engage with our webinars and ask your questions. We're really here for you. And last but not least, I promised somebody earlier that I would add a link to our YouTube channel. This will be downloaded and uploaded very shortly there. So if you know anybody who missed some of it, or you want to review something that you might have missed, or you know someone who couldn't attend at all that might benefit from learning about these investment opportunities, please feel free to review. Go back to our YouTube channel, and you can see everything that we covered here today there. We'll continue to upload things there. So thanks again so much for our attendees. Thank you incredibly to our panelists, and please go ahead and review those offerings and give yourself a chance to join these companies. So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you all.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Netcapital team.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everyone.
Our pleasure. Thanks, team. Bye now.
Bye-bye.